You are Locked On Clippers POSTCAST, part of Locked On Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well. The Clippers are in trouble. It is official. Oh, I didn't put on my Clippers hat. Sorry. It's the high school I work for. Nothing to feel excited about. Nothing to represent today. Welcome to the Locked On Clippers POSTCAST. We come on after the game or when the game is over, and it's been over for a while. Thanks for watching us on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done, and for listening on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA since 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. Clippers lose game 3. It's not officially over yet, but they're getting shellacked, whitewashed, manhandled, embarrassed. And I think they're in trouble, as I say in the notes. They are in trouble. There's no answer for Luka Doncic when you are trying to figure out a way to deal with Kawhi Leonard being a liability to your team. And I really hate to say that. It's unfair, but it's a fact. Kawhi Leonard has become a liability for this team. They don't know what to do with him. They try to get him minutes. They sit him on the bench. Then they get him back in there. He has a little spurt in the third. It's not enough, right? So I feel like they got to cut bait. Just put him down. Sit him, right? Make him a guy that comes in during garbage time. If you want at least to have an opportunity to win this series. If they continue to try to integrate Kawhi Leonard, not going to work. Not going to work. Sorry. You can't get 4 to 6 minutes out of Kawhi Leonard that are decent when he plays 25. Only 4 or 5 of them were decent. What does Kenny have to say? Kenny, the GM. Oh, he's a general manager here. This is to blame on medic staff, coaching staff, and Kawhi. He should never play a game 2 and now 3 if he's not okay. Completely ruined the flow. Yeah. Look, here's the thing, Kenny. I feel like he's okay now, but it's too hard to get back into the flow up to NBA playoff speed. I said this the other day. What the hell were they? Sorry. What the hell were they doing at the end of the regular season? The thing that's been floating over this Clipper team all season, when you talk to anybody that pays attention to the Clippers, whether it's fans or haters, of course the haters pull it out a lot quicker than the fans do. The TV guys, like the nightly news guys who do 3 to 5 minutes a night and they throw the Clippers in, out of some obligation. It's like Lakers. Oh, and the Clippers, right? They will say this is the most healthy the Clippers have ever been. In other words, usually the Clippers are dealing with injuries. If the Clippers can stay healthy, it always comes back to that, right? If the Clippers can stay healthy. So when Kawhi goes down on March 31st with inflammation of the knee, and he looked fine the night before, I'm like, what? Okay. Well, I guess, they're pretty locked in at 4. At the worst, they'll be 5. At that point, we all kind of just felt like they were going to face the Dallas Mavericks. So at some point, I understood and got what Ty Lue was doing. Yeah, let's rest these guys down the stretch because these games don't mean squadouche to us. So if Kawhi's not feeling 100, let's get him a little rest right now. Okay, I guess I get it. But then he's down for 25 days. And then you're going to try to reintegrate him into this team? No, there's no chance. I don't care if he's working hard for that whole week in between during the play-in tournament when they weren't playing. It's not enough. And now you've made a mistake. It's too far. There's no turning back at this point. You can't go, oh, well, he played better tonight. Did he? I mean, I guess a little. He scored 9 points? When's the last time you saw Kawhi Leonard score 9 points in 25 minutes? That is just not Kawhi Leonard. And then, like, if you know even a little bit about basketball, and I know basketball. I'm not a basketball expert. I do not proclaim to be one. I'm a basketball fan. I covered the game. When I watch people play basketball, I can tell when they're good and when they're not. And Kawhi Leonard right now is just not good. You can see it. He's tentative. A little less rusty today. He had that little spurt where he had the dunk, 2 dunks in a row and the alley-oop. He actually made it on the bucket list. I just felt guilty, right? I'm like, all right. I wrote the note. Is Kawhi Leonard a liability? Like, should they just sit him down at this point? And then he had a dunk where he penetrated, and then the alley-oop from Paul George. So it's like, ooh, maybe he got going. Maybe he's now rolling. Maybe that flipped the switch for him. No. Turnovers. They were like, oh, wow, yeah. Oh, he did have 4 rebounds. We had 9 rebounds on the night, 2 assists, but 4 turnovers. He couldn't hold on to the ball. It's just, I feel bad. I'm just like, come on. I don't, at this point for Kawhi Leonard, there's no turning back again. I don't think there's any way to get yourself out of this hole in the next. So they're now down 2-1. So they got to win, they got to not lose in 2 games, maybe 3. If they can figure out a way to scrape one out in Dallas next game, because it goes 2-2 and then 1-1-1. So if they can figure out a way to scrape one out somehow, at times tonight, they seemed like they were okay. I mean, there were times when things were starting to look, James Harden did a good job. As I've said before, I keep reiterating this. As goes James Harden, goes the team. Not tonight, because James Harden was the only reason this game wasn't a 40-point defeat. Like, he kept them relevant in this game. And Norman Powell off the bench, too. 21 for him. Those were the 2 leading scorers. Without those 2 guys, the Clippers get even more embarrassed. So Paul George, 7. And I fully blame that 7 on the fact that Kawhi Leonard is not playing well. It's almost like Paul George feels guilty. Like, I don't want to embarrass Kawhi. I want to, if Kawhi's going to have a bad night, then so am I. It's just mind-boggling. I can't get past it. Paul George is clearly capable of taking over a game. What in the hell are you waiting on? 7 points from Paul George? I don't get it. I mean, we had I need a break. Sorry. I'm going to share with you a comment from one of our listeners after the break. Clippers lose. It's over. Final official 101-90. And I don't think it was that close. Dallas started to just kind of, skip to Malou down the stretch there. They were not really giving a rat's ass at the end of the game. Kind of like the Clippers do when they're up big. It was a similar thing. These 2 teams are very similar. They're very close as far as the way they play. The problem is the Clippers don't have a Luka Doncic, right? They have a Paul George who's like, oh, if Kawhi's not playing well, then I can't take over, right? Who would you say is the closest guy to Luka on this team? Is it James Harden? I don't know. I really don't know. It's a good question. Answer that in the comments. Who's the closest guy on our team to Luka Doncic? That's what I want to know from you guys. Who it is. Who do you think is the closest player we have? Not just tonight, in general, across the board. I'm going to say James Harden. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. All right, tonight's show brought to you in part by Nissan. The Nissan 2024 Rogue is a perfect car for the city and for the country. Going on escapes, taking the kids to practice. It's got lots of room. It gets great gas mileage. It's very functional, very effective. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for your most for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone with a cord. You don't need to worry about that. Google Assistant is there, Google Maps, Google Play Store, everything. It's very, very simple, and a 12.3-inch HD touchscreen. The infotainment is top-notch. 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. If you need something bigger, check out the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. It seats up to 8, expansive cargo capacity, and advanced availability 4x4 capabilities. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Tonight's show also brought to you by BetterHelp. I've done therapy a few times over the years, and I've always found it helpful because the professionals, and I've used people from BetterHelp, the professionals that are there, the counselors, are very effective at helping you understand some of the issues that you may be frustrated with, trying to figure out, trying to consolidate, trying to understand. They give you the tools to do that. And it's very, very effective when it comes to when you're in a situation with your work colleague or your life partner or whatever, if you're married, if you're not married, relatives, family members. It just helps you kind of work through life situations. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, so it's super convenient, and it's designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule, which is also huge. And I've done both in person and online, and I feel like they're very, very similar. It's not impersonal at all. It's very personal. So celebrate the progress that you are making as you try to improve yourself. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right. Any answers for me here? Who's the closest guy? PG is ass. That's not what I asked for, Hambino. Luka didn't even play good at all. Really? The others did. Luka was 7 of 26, I believe. That's true. Yeah, he wasn't great tonight. For Luka's standards, you're right. He was not great. He wasn't as effective as he normally is, but at the end of the day, he was a big part of the reason they won this game. 22 points. So he led the way for them. So you can't really say he was terrible. Yeah, he's usually in the 30-35 range. I get that. But the fact of the matter is, the reason the Clippers had trouble tonight in general, their defense was okay. It wasn't terrible, but PG got into foul trouble, which is part of the reason he didn't score that many points, because he was trying to guard Luka, right? And it's very challenging. And the fact of the matter is that Luka is a stud. Guarding him is nearly impossible. Terrence Mann and Russell Westbrook have done the best job dealing with him. But Russell Westbrook tonight was an unhinged wildfire. I mean, he was out of control across the board. To answer your question, Craig, what did I think of the scuffle? I think Russell Westbrook is unhinged. I think Russell Westbrook is out of control. And we've said that all season long, right? He has been out of control all season, and it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's great because the defense, the energy that he provides helps the rest of the team, and he does play good defense. He knocks balls away. He creates turnovers. The problem with Russell Westbrook is when he starts shooting and missing, he doesn't know when to say when. He doesn't say, all right, tonight's not my night. I don't have it. I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a shotgun right now. He keeps shooting. And there was, I don't know how many times. Let's see here. I wrote it down. Norm Powell got fouled at the line. It was a questionable call, right? 3 free throws. Iffy at best. But there were people that say, the announcer, former Clipper, God, I'm forgetting his name now, said, when you elevate, you throw your left leg out as a defense mechanism. That was the call from ESPN. And he said, this is standard. And this is what they call nowadays, because if you land, if they're in your landing space, that whole thing. Well, the guy defending him wasn't, and he did a good job to get out of the way, but nonetheless, they called the foul. right? It brought the Clippers after the free throws to down 6. Then the Mavs hit back-to-back threes off of a Russell Westbrook miss. And then they go from down 6 to down 11, just like that. So, or 12 even, I think at that point. Maybe they were down 5. I don't know what it was, but they hit back-to-back threes. And it came off of a Russell Westbrook miss where Russell Westbrook didn't hit anything. He was over. He had 1 point, ultimately getting thrown out of the game. So obviously his frustration was ratcheted up. He's swinging his arms. He had this look on his face like he was just a wild person. Like he's crazy man, you know, like he should be put in a straight jacket. Like I would not, like if I was in that game, look, I get Luka kind of like, whoa, Luka like backed up because Russell had crazy in his eyes. He just looked unhinged tonight. Playing the game, pushing people, fighting people. Every time there was a call, it's a ridiculous call. You know, it's the frustration just bubbled over on him. He was out of control. He was out of line. His behavior, to me, even the Jaffe, the announcer referee was like, yeah, that should have been a technical. Ultimately, he did get tossed, but there should be a fine involved. I mean, to me, he just could not control himself. He was everything about Russell Westbrook's tenacity tonight got the best of him. He could not stay in control. It was just way too much. This is a good point right here from Hambino. PJ Tucker needs to play on Luka. That's fine. If like Russell Westbrook is one of the better defenders on Luka. So is Terrence Mann. Between Terrence Mann and Russell Westbrook, they had 3 points. So if PJ Tucker can guard Luka and score 0, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem. PJ Tucker is probably the best defender on this team right now. And we saw some of that down the stretch. He did fantastic jobs multiple times on the other team's best scorer. So why not give this guy a try? It's not going to hurt a damn thing. You're not doing anything with these guys, right? If you're going to go with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Zubats, Harden, and Mann, and then bring Russell Westbrook in for energy, like Plumlee had 7, he did. I didn't notice that at all. It was this game was an abomination. I don't even know how to break it down. The turnovers were terrible. Like the fact that the Clippers scraped in the third was the best quarter. They scraped and clawed and got back into the game and actually won that quarter 26-24 after getting doubled up in the second. They were outscored 36-18 in the second. This third quarter, they actually kind of showed some teeth, right? That's when Kawhi had the 2 dunks. The D on Luka was better. Somehow the Clippers figured out a way to slow the pace down. And even talking to Jason Kidd in between the third and the fourth, he said the pace was too slow. And you have to give the Clippers credit for that. That was the only good thing they did, right, tonight, was slow the pace down enough to where Luka got tentative. He would penetrate and kick. I'm like, what are you doing, Luka? Just shoot. You're going to make it. All right. Excuse me. I'm sure Maverick fans were frustrated as hell in the third quarter. What's he doing? Like he's penetrating. Nobody's really on him. And he's like, whoa, he's turning around, throwing it to PJ Washington or something. And those guys all had a fantastic night, right? The bench, the secondary team, the B players for the Mavericks were really good. Kyrie Irving, kind of got going at 2 points in the first half, finished with 21. So a great second half for him. But Lively was good. The alley-oop from Lively or for Lively, generally from Luka, they worked that thing over and over again, and it was working really well. Kleber played well. He only hit 1 3 in 16 minutes. But Green was good. He had 8 points in 25 minutes. Gafford scored 8. PJ Washington had 10. Jones had 11. So they spread it out fairly decently. But ultimately, it was about not really being able to slow down Luka and Kyrie as per usual. The fact that they slowed down the tempo in the third quarter helped them out. But the offense for the Clippers was just a mess. ISO, 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 ISO. Let's just play ISO. Give the ball to one guy and let him try to score. And that just doesn't work. That's not good enough. It's not what they've done all season. Here we are in the playoffs. Let's do something different. ISO in the fourth. You don't ISO the whole game. You don't. That's just not enough. It's not going to work. They don't have somebody good enough to do that. If Kawhi Leonard was healthy, maybe, or I don't know, he seems healthy, but if he was mentally up to speed on what's happening right now in the NBA, in the playoffs, in this series, maybe you ISO him sometime, but not the whole game. There was a few times where the penetrating kick was working, and we'll get to that next. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Thanks for joining me. Come on after the game and we break it down. Breaking it down. Tonight's show also brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Stand by for the overlay. There we go. LinkedIn Jobs knows that your success as a small business owner all depends on the team you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and free. It's not just another job board with LinkedIn. They have a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. And hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get qualified people within 24 hours. We have a small business and we use it all the time. It is very effective. You get people to interview really quickly because, when you run the business, you're doing the marketing, you're actually working in the business, and then you have to worry about hiring people. And that sometimes can be a nuisance and take a lot of time. With LinkedIn Jobs, it is very efficient. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats that you might not have time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn Jobs, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. And you can post it for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Clippers lose game 3. They're now down 2-1, 101-90, the final. I didn't even do the bucket list. Let's do that real quick. I only have 4 tonight on the bucket list because I didn't think anybody was worthy of #1. Honestly, there just wasn't anything there. I probably could find a 3 from Norm Powell, but he's on the list at number 5. He had a 3 after a Russ steal before Russ became unhinged. Russ had a nice steal. It was about 3 minutes left in the first, and Norm Powell hit a 3. Kind of got things going for the Clippers a little bit. They ended up leading at the end of the first quarter, 23-18. For number 4, James Harden hit a 3 right at the buzzer of the first quarter, 23-18. It was the first of 4 in a row for James Harden. So that second quarter, when the Clippers were doubled up, outscored 36-18, that was with James Harden hitting 3 consecutive threes. The first one came right at the end of the first quarter. Number 3, the Paul George alley-oop to Kawhi Leonard was in fact sweet, and it probably gave Clipper fans a tiny bit of hope that maybe Kawhi Leonard was coming back, was finding his legs, was finding the will, the energy, the desire. Nope, not really. It made it 63-51. It was at the 6:42 mark of the third, and then Paul George hit a 3 that was just unbelievable. Again, playing ISO though, so it was like frustrating, but there was something that came out of it. So you kind of felt a little bit of excitement and relief. It was like that when a baseball player is up, the bases are loaded and it's 3-0 and the coach has clearly told him to take, and he swings and gets a base hit. You're like, you're supposed to take, but I got a base hit, scored 2 runs, whatever. That's what it felt like for Paul George. Playing ISO, trying to weave through traffic. It was ugly. He falls down, heaves it up in the air, hits the front of the rim and goes in. Like, it was pretty amazing. At the 3-minute mark of the third, I made it 86-56 or 68-56. I'm a little dyslexic today. So 86, no, it's 68-56. So within 12. And again, they got it down to 6, but only for like a minute, the blink of an eye, before the Mavs started to take over again. And Russell Westbrook started shooting like, I'm going to bring us back. I got this. Don't worry. I'll take over. Clank. Russell Westbrook. Oh, PG will need to update his LinkedIn. Well done, Hambino. You're on fire tonight. Welcome to the show, by the way. A new guy. Like it. Greg, you're the best. I don't understand. How do I hit the like? Craig wants me to hit the like. Is it the star? Is that what you need from me? I don't know. He keeps telling me to hit the like button. I don't know how to do that. Or maybe he hit the like. Is that what it is? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Craig hit the like. I don't know. Anyway, what I was going to say is one of the things that the Clippers did not do tonight with regularity is work the ball around the perimeter, right? Something they do regularly in the first quarter kind of gets the offense rolling. And I talk about it every night on the podcast that when they are doing that, it seems like they're at their best. Passing, moving, finding the open guy. Doesn't always convert to baskets, but it does give you a good open look more often than not. None of that tonight. Very rarely. They were not getting open looks, especially in the first half. They were taking bad looks, hand in the face, just trying to chuck it up. It was like chuck and duck is really what it felt like. Then in the third quarter, again, I feel like the third quarter was the best part of this game, so I'm focusing on that. The penetrate and kick was working. Westbrook did it a couple of times. Harden to Zoo was working. Zubats had a fantastic game. 8 of 11 for 19 points in 32 minutes. A lot of that in the first quarter was him just cleaning up other guys' messes. But in the third quarter, penetrate, find Zubats, throw it down. As I mentioned earlier, we had a comment from one of our viewers in the post game from 2 nights ago that the fact that the Clippers lost that game too in LA or 3 nights ago was because Kawhi Leonard came back and was rusty. And it was almost like it was the opposite of taking one for the team. It's like the team took one for Kawhi and they made him a focal point of the offense. And this viewer made the point that cannot be the case in game 3. And to a certain extent, it wasn't. So he's 100% right that you could not make Kawhi Leonard the feature of this offense. It needed to be James Harden, Paul George, and Ivica Zubac. James Harden 1, PG and Zoo 2. And then from there, you figure it out with Norm Powell or Terrence Mann or whatever. But it could not be Kawhi because you could tell that Kawhi was not up to the task of scoring the basketball tonight. I don't know what's up with my mic cable. It is just touchy as hell. But that was another situation tonight. They needed to penetrate more and kick. That was working. Find Zubats, work Zubats, get the ball to Paul George, not just ISO. I'm going to stand at the 3-point line and try to dribble drive and penetrate around 4 dudes. It's like, no, pass the ball around the perimeter, find Paul George or find James Harden. James Harden had a decent night. He played a lot, 44 minutes, 7 of 13 though, 5 of 8 for 21 points. You could have gotten the ball to him more. So there were times when it looked like it was kind of okay, but all in all, the aspects of this game that were a problem were, again, many of the problems that they've had all year. It just was an extrapolated situation of going 4 quarters with these problems. Turnovers. About midway through the third quarter, the Clippers had given up, I think it was 12 turnovers at that point, and it turned into 17 points. 19 turnovers on the game. You can't win a game with 19. That's like turning the ball over in the NFL 6 times, right? If you see an NFL team turn it over 6 times, I can guarantee you they lost that game. Sometimes 4 is enough to lose a game, right? But 19 is unforgivable. That's just too much across the board. You know, Paul George with 1, so that wasn't bad, but Kawhi had 4, Zubats 2, James Harden had 5, Westbrook 2. So they got a lot of work to do coming into game 4. They got to clean up a lot of things. Hopefully they find the will to play a better defense on Luka Doncic. Hopefully that means PJ Tucker gets a little bit of time out there. Hopefully Russell Westbrook just, takes a chill pill, takes it down a notch, just relax, take a deep breath, have a beer, a whiskey or a wine or whatever. I don't know if he drinks, probably not, but nobody that has a drink every now and then is that fired up and ramped up. So I don't know, whatever maybe some tea, some green tea. Green tea has caffeine. The sleepy tea that you give to your kids when they're a little too fired up. Maybe he just needs a tea and a break and a sauna or a jacuzzi. That's funny. I don't know how to say your name, Syracane. I'm just going to say that's funny because I'm not going to post that. All right. It is funny though. Let's hope you're wrong. Okay. Funny comment. Let's hope you're wrong. Anyway, yes, Russell Westbrook just needs to take it down a notch or two, maybe 10 notches, and come out and give us that energy without being unhinged Russ. We don't need Russell out of control with the crazy face. Like he's going to punch somebody. Like he scared me tonight. I felt bad. Like, yeah, Luka's probably bigger than Russ and can probably handle himself. But I was like, careful, Luka. You never know what's going to happen. He's pissed right now. And, it's like, don't F with Russ when he's pissed. He was clearly pissed. So let's hope that he takes it down. Let's hope they figure out a way to play some defense. And let's hope they just figure out a way to deal with Kawhi Leonard. I think that way is put Kawhi Leonard on the bench. All right. Put him in sweats. We're done. Nice try coming back, but thank you. We don't need you anymore. You'll still get paid. Don't worry. Right. He's become a liability. There's no way around it. As much as I hate to say it, it is unfortunate, but it has become an issue. And if they want any shot in hell at winning this series, it cannot be with Kawhi Leonard on the floor. That's my hot take. And that's what we're going to wrap up with. Thank you guys for joining me here on the Locked On Clippers postcast. Thank you for all the comments. Back again with you on Sunday. Game 4 is right around noon 30. I'll be doing Locked On Clippers tomorrow. I'm sorry, Locked On Dodgers tomorrow. That'll be on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed, but also on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. They had a 12-2 win today in Toronto. So back at it tomorrow for them right around noon. And again, back here on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed with the Locked On Clippers postcast after Sunday's Game 4 in Dallas. Mavericks leading the series 2-1. Have a good night and a good weekend. We'll talk to you on Sunday.